All right, gang. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday to everybody out there. Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. What a day to be alive. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Appreciate all of you who continue to show up each and every day. Hopefully these live streams are helping make your player prop research process a little more easier and you land on some winning picks. That's the goal anyway, for me to get out there and help as many of you as humanly possible. So thank you so much for joining me each and every day. Look, we've got a real shot here to do something awesome. And what I mean by that is we're less than 50 subscribers away from hitting 3,000 subscribers. Listen, I just launched this channel back on January 1st of this year. My 1-year anniversary is right around the corner. I set a pretty lofty goal at the end of November. Let's try to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And it looks like it's really, really achievable. Heck, we might even be able to get it done today or this week at the very latest. I mean, you guys have continued to support the channel in a major way. Yesterday, we had over 1,400 views on yesterday's live stream on a 3-game NBA slate. Not only that, but you guys set an all-time high, a new record in terms of likes, over 200 likes on yesterday's live stream. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for your continued support and helping me reach these goals, man. I can't do it alone. This is a community here. This is a family thing. We do it together each and every day. I get on here. We do player prop research. We try to find those winning picks. And you guys, I give to you and you give back. And I am thankful for that. So I appreciate you subscribing. Make sure notifications are turned on. If you want to be notified when I go live, which is typically 11 a.m. Eastern time every single morning, Monday through Friday, sometimes even Saturday, I'll pop in and do a surprise live stream for you. Definitely make sure notifications are turned on and keep smashing the like button. We went over 100 likes for like, I don't know what the streak is, but yesterday we set a all-time high, 200 likes. I'm blown away. Not only that, but I had an influx of new people joining me on Patreon, wanting to support my work, wanting to support the channel even further by joining on Patreon. So we're going to take a look at Patreon real quick. Probably had at least like 30 new people join Patreon yesterday. It was overwhelming. And I think overall we did pretty well. Let's look at the picks that I wrote up for yesterday's Patreon post, just to give you an example what you get on Patreon, all this and more. We have a kick-ass community inside a Discord where we're all talking about player props every single night. Our favorite plays on PrizePicks, NBA, NFL, NHL. We got it all kind of different things going on. So anyway, let's look at these picks that I wrote up yesterday. LaMarcus Aldridge over 14.5 points versus Dallas, ended up hitting, did well. Russell Westbrook, I was a little iffy on him, but he ended up bouncing back. He had 10 points in his previous game. Last night, he went well over 17.5 points. That ended up working out. So far, so good. Rebounds, we had Jason Tatum going over 7.5 boards versus the Lakers. He hit that prop as well. His teammate, Marcus Smart, we had going over 5.5 assists. He had a 2-game slump. I love targeting guys coming off of a bad game, a dud game. Marcus Smart had 2 of those in a row. Ended up coming back strong against the Lakers, going over 5.5 assists. Here's where things got a little bit troublesome. I'll skip over this guy right here, because we all kind of know he's on our list today. Derek White did his thing, 1.5 3-point makes against the Knicks, no problemo for him. Evan Fournier kept us from going on a 6-pick sweep last night on Patreon. We ended up 5-1 overall, and it was because of Evan Fournier. At one point, guys, Evan Fournier knocks down a 3. Next possession down, I think he ends up knocking down another 3, or so we thought. That 3 ended up being called a 2. Unfortunately, his foot was on the line. Had he knocked that one down, we would have been looking at a push or a tie situation, which would have been a much better result than him going under on his 2 3-point makes. So he was my guy last night that kept me from really just going nuts in my entries. He held me back from a big night, but that's all right, you know, because that was last night. We're going to move on today and look at today's 13-game NBA slate. So I appreciate everybody who joined Patreon yesterday. That's the point of this. I'm not here to flex. I'm just showing you kind of what you get when you sign up on Patreon. I try to give back by posting something unique, something exclusive every single day on Patreon. I'm in there doing the hard nitty-gritty research for you as well, posting those results, posting those findings for you in Discord, helping you with fantasy point plays, helping you with free throw plays, helping you with your single stat player prop plays as well. So if you want to join, link down in the description below. There's a whole bunch of us in there now after what happened yesterday. So I appreciate the outpouring of support through Patreon. All right. We ain't got a lot of time here to waste, guys. So let's run through some chat stuff here. Let's take a look and see what you guys are talking about here in chat this morning. Boston, let's get some money. Good morning to you. Color Hype, he said he lost my life savings last night because of Fournier. God, I hope not. Please say you're joking, Color Hype. I kind of don't believe you, but if you did, well, that's unfortunate. Evan Fournier did sell, though. He sold hard. He sold super hard. AJ says he needs a power play to redeem himself. George, good morning to you. Travis, good to see you back again. Hoping for a good night. I'm tired of losing money. I hear you, Travis. I hear you, my friend. Flex more. Maybe flexing more is the key to kind of getting a little bit of a bankroll going, starting to build up that money a little bit. Jonathan, good to see you. Fournier and AD lost out for me. Yeah, AD, I think he did not have that great of a game. Joshua Thomas, good to see you. Anthony Ruiz in here this morning, one of the Patreon members I was just talking about. Good to see you here in the chat this morning. Buddy Dim says, solid night last night. I hope everybody had a good one as well. Kind of seems like a mixed bag, a little bit of a mixed bag. Hayden, good morning to you. Made over $200 last night. Looking to keep the hot streak going. Love to hear that. Kong Lore, yesterday was bad. LeBron, Murray, and Smart. Yes, Smart, if you took his points, did not end up working out, unfortunately. Jen says, what up, CJ? Hit two picks and a 3-pick and a 4-pick, all power plays right off of Patreon. If you ain't get the Patreon, you don't like winning money. Thanks, Curry. You're the man. Well, I appreciate that ringing endorsement there, Jen. I'm glad that we were able to have a pretty solid night, going 5-1 overall on that Patreon post that I wrote up for you guys. What else are we talking about here this morning? We got a lot of folks in here. Good to see you. Make sure you're slapping that like button as you join the chat. Wiggy says, what's up, CJ? Another winning night for NBA. Yes, looking like it was a pretty good night overall. Christopher Watt, hooked on Tatum's rebounds plus assists. Got me. Ouch. Losing by the hook is probably one of the worst things you can do. Let's see if we could bounce back tonight, though, Chris. Ronald's Green is up in here. What's up to you? Contract Killer's back says, how do I get Patreon? Down in the description of this video, you'll find a link to Patreon if you want to help support my work, what I do here for you guys every single morning, and you're looking to get a little bit more content, exclusive stuff, and exclusive access to me. Well, Patreon is the way to do that. I go above and beyond what I have time to do on a live stream through Patreon. Taylor says, won a tiny slate last night thanks to CJ. Can't wait for tonight's games. Love to hear that. Stevie says, Easy E was cold last night, but the Derek White over threes hit and Mitchell Robinson went off on the boards. He also covered his point prop. You guys laughed at me. Somebody in here laughed when I said Mitchell Robinson over 5.5 points. But man, that dude ended up coming out balling. I think he was pissed off about losing his spot in the starting lineup to Nerlens Noel last night. He came out motivated. Eric says, morning all, rough night. Rough beats last night with Fournier's foot on the line. Yeah, that was the worst. Tatum missing that last free throw also hurt a couple of folks. Todd, live for Sundays. Oh yeah, my 2 off days, Wednesday, Thursday. Love watching replays, but live is just so much different. Yes, it is, Todd. I'm glad that you're able to be here with me live this morning. Thank you for joining. Too far gone. Let's go. Good morning, fam. Let's eat tonight. Agree with that. Can't have said it much better myself. Eric says, CJ came through with the gut call on Smart assist, though. Trust the man. Listen, I went deep. I dug deep on that Marcus Smart prop. I can understand why people were not feeling it. He was on a 2-game skid where he did not cover 5.5 assists, but I went deep on that prop, and I felt pretty solid about it, putting my money out there on Marcus Smart over 5.5 dimes, and it ended up working out. Jodinho says, good morning, GOAT. Well, I'm no GOAT. I'm just an ordinary man trying to help a few folks win a few extra bucks. Gilo says, yo, run my boy CJ to that 3K. Man, I would love that. I would love to run it up to 3K. Dope Boy World leaving the GOAT emojis. Appreciate that. David's in here. Dinwiddie assists. He's already dropping some props. Save those props for after I kind of do my portion of the show. We'll kick it on over to chat and we'll do the lightning round where we buzz through all of your favorite picks and plays. George is saying PrizePicks update looking nice. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm going to have to check it out. Is there an update out on the app or something? I'm going to have to go check that out. If Evan hits, Jen wins thousands. I was sick. Dang, man. Fournier, man. He was the guy last night that screwed us up. Jeff B says, when I heard the announcers say they were changing to a 2-pointer, I almost died. Oh, man. Yeah, and he had his opportunities. Unfortunately, though, Tom Thibodeau did not let Fournier get any run or little to no run in the fourth quarter, and that was unfortunate for us. Good morning to you, Said. Good morning to Mark. Wally. Good morning to you as well. Thanks for joining me this morning. Christopher Pringle, what's happening? He says to the guy who said he lost his life savings last night, you don't want to hear my story. Listen, Chris Pringle's got some crazy stories, y'all. He's done put the house on the line. He's done put the life savings on the line. I think he was down to just his cell phone. Putting that on the line. So Chris Pringle's definitely throwing some money out there, or so he says. Rich, good to see you. Finally hit one for 75 bucks. Is still not feeling super comfortable on some of my picks. Well, hopefully by the end of the stream, you'll feel a little more comfortable than you did when you started. Craig, good to see you. I'm glad you joined Patreon, Craig. You're one of my OGs here on these live streams, always dropping good knowledge and everything. He says he got the Patreon last night and got to say that it's worth it. Listen, one $10 2-pick power play on Patreon. It's all you have to hit, and it covers the 20 bucks that gets you in to Patreon. I just think it's kind of a no-brainer if you're looking for even more insight, more access to stats and research and plays. I just think it makes a lot of sense. It's good to see that you guys are liking what you're getting, though, on Patreon. Dave says, just join me on Patreon. Let's get it. Appreciate you joining, Dave. Welcome to the club. DFS Whispers, what's up, my brother? Good to see you out here joining us this morning. Appreciate the shout out in your video yesterday. Check out DFS Whispers for even more daily fantasy sports content. It's got his own YouTube channel, just past 1,000 subscribers. Shout out to you, DFS Whispers. Jen says, They did laugh, LOL. I took them, though, his boards and Tatum boards for $50 power play. Yes, you're talking about Mitchell Robinson. He ended up doing his thing. Oma 9, learned last night not to focus on small slates. Well, yeah, last night was kind of hit or miss, I guess. It depends on the props you took. There is an app update for PrizePicks. I definitely got to download that. Been sleeping on PrizePicks app updates. I got to get that installed. J Red, yo, what's up to you? Another Patreon member joining me this morning. Good to see you, J Red, longtime supporter of the community. Al says, new to Patreon, let's make some money. Let's do it. And finally, Moberly Gaming. Comeback season is upon us. All right, guys, we got 12 games to talk about. I have a feeling this stream could go all day long if we wanted it to. I'm going to try and keep it short, condensed, and get you the information you need to get you going. So let's kick it off here. Let's look at these games. We got the New York Knicks at the Indiana Pacers. So New York obviously on a back-to-back. Maybe Fournier bounces back tonight going against the Pacers. The big news, obviously Kemba Walker's out of the rotation for the New York Knicks. Over on the Indiana side, Justin Holiday is out. TJ McConnell is out. TJ Warren is out. The big news, too, Indiana, apparently, according to Shams, is saying that they're ready to do a rebuild. They're looking to trade Karis LeVert, Domantas Sabonis, and totally just scrap the team that they have right now and start over. So there might be a fire sale going on here in Indiana. They might be looking to move some of their assets. Kind of surprised to see that Indiana's ready to just throw the whole thing away and start over. The Washington Wizards at the Detroit Pistons, 7 p.m. tip-off time. Keep an eye on Bertans. Maybe he makes his return to the Wizards lineup. Over on the Detroit side, nothing real impactful there. Corey Joseph, game time decision. Diallo, also a game time decision. Philadelphia at Charlotte. We know what Joel Embiid did to the Charlotte Hornets the other night. Does he run it back again? Charlotte playing very short-handed. No LaMelo Ball, no McDaniels, Rozier, Plumlee, or Ish Smith. And then on the Philadelphia side, keep an eye on Tyrese Maxey. But Joel Embiid getting another great matchup here will probably be guarded by P.J. Washington. Is that even fair to put Joel Embiid and P.J. Washington against each other? It's not. Embiid probably will have another good game tonight. Chicago Bulls at the Cleveland Cavaliers, also tip it off at 7 p.m. We've got Williams, Green, White, Caruso, and DeRozan. Those are the big ones. Caruso and DeRozan out for Chicago, so probably going to see a bump up for Zach LaVine. Probably going to see a bump up for Lonzo Ball and my boy, former Orlando Magic man, Nikola Vucevic. Over on the Cleveland side, Dean Wade game time decision. Colin Sexton continues to sit out with a knee injury. 7:30 p.m. Oklahoma City Thunder at the Toronto Raptors. No Goran Dragic, Kim Birch, or OG Anunoby for Toronto. Nothing to report on the OKC side. 7:30 p.m. Milwaukee Bucks at the Miami Heat. This would be a marquee matchup if both teams were 100% healthy. But that's not the case for either of these teams. Obviously for Miami, Bam Adebayo continues to sit out. Jimmy Butler's going to be out, already ruled out for this game. Over on the Milwaukee side, we got Brook Lopez, who just underwent back surgery. Dante DiVincenzo still missing time, and we got George Hill as a game time decision. So maybe we fire up a little bit of Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Giannis Antetokounmpo and company. 8 p.m. Brooklyn Nets at Houston Rockets. Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris out for Brooklyn. Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green. There we go. I almost forgot his first name. Out for the Houston Rockets. Now, I will tell you that just going off the top of my dome, off the memory bean here, Jayshawn Tate, if he's at like 3.5 assists, we smash the over on Jayshawn Tate with both Green and Porter out of the lineup. That's been one of the low-key props that I've really been liking lately. Jayshawn Tate over assist with both of those guys out of the lineup. 8 p.m. Denver Nuggets at the New Orleans Pelicans. Jamal Murray, game time decision. We got Dozier, Porter, Bowl, and Rivers all out for Denver. Obviously, Zion continues to sit for New Orleans. Keep an eye on Josh Hart, though. That's an impactful injury news piece to keep an eye out on. Utah Jazz at Minnesota Timberwolves. Hassan Whiteside is a game-time decision for Utah. D'Angelo Russell missed the last game for the Minnesota Timberwolves, so we got to keep an eye on his status. Pat Beverly and Noel also both game-time decisions. 8 p.m. Dallas Mavericks at Memphis Grizzlies. Willie Cauley-Stein, game time decision. Brown, also a game time decision For Memphis, Ja Morant already ruled out. No Brandon Clark either. Keep an eye on Kyle Anderson. He's a game time decision as well. Getting into some of the later games here, 10 p.m., my Orlando Magic at the Sacramento Kings. Got a long list of names. The most important, impactful, probably being Jalen Suggs, as he was once in the rotation for this Orlando Magic squad. Ever since he stepped out, my man Franz Wagner has stepped up. So we're probably going to be talking about Franz Wagner at some point today. Just a little breadcrumb there to feed you. Mo Harkless and Harrison Barnes, both game time decisions for Sacramento. 10 p.m. also brings us the Portland Trail Blazers at the Golden State Warriors. Lots of names on the injury report for this one. We just got news that CJ McCollum is dealing with a collapsed lung for Portland. The Portland Trail Blazers are falling apart, guys. We got Damian Lillard still out. It's going to be Ben McLemore, Cody Zeller, Anthony Simons, Nazir Little, all as game time decisions in this one. And then for Golden State, Andre Iguodala is a GTD. Finally, last but not least, the late night hammer, 10:30 p.m. Boston Celtics on a back-to-back. They're going to hang out in LA for a little bit longer, going against the other Los Angeles team, the Clippers, not the Lakers. We got Jaylen Brown as a game time decision, Jabari Parker and Fernando also game time decisions for the Clippers. Nick Batum, a GTD as well. There you go, guys. That is the slate. 13 big games. We got a lot to get through. So let's go ahead and do it. And before I do that, swig of water for the working man. You got to stay hydrated. Stay hydrated in these prop streets. All right, y'all. We're using Props.cash to do our player prop research. If this is your first time here, then you probably don't know what Props.cash is. Maybe you do, though. If you don't, check out the link down in the description below. You can sign up for Props.cash. Just $19.99 per month. Get you access to NBA, NFL, NHL. They just improved the NHL product with an update. Check out the shots on goal if you're into playing some hockey. And MLB, when that comes back around, you'll have access to that as well. Let's go ahead, sign into Props.cash, get a look at today's player trends. And for that, we use Props.cash. We switch it from current season to the last 10 games. I like to get a more recent sample size. And let's see who's at the top of the heap here. Well, they got Jarrett Allen at 16.5 points. He's got an 80% hit rate covering this prop. We've seen his scoring prop just slowly climb and rise over the last few days. He was at 14.5, then he was at 15.5. Now he's up to 16.5, an 80% hit rate, though, at 16.5 points. So even though they're pushing his prop up higher and higher, he continues to cover it. Now, if you look here on the PrizePicks board, we do not have Jarrett Allen, at least not from what I see. So they're keeping Jarrett Allen far away from us. But if you could get him on a different site, consider maybe taking an over on Jarrett Allen tonight as they take on the Chicago Bulls. Should be a pretty friendly matchup for the big man. Franz Wagner, I mentioned him earlier, 14.5 points, 70% hit rate, going over in 70% of his games, minus 116, betting favorite to go over. We don't have any of the Orlando Magic guys up just yet. They will be released probably later in the day, so we will skip over him. Josh Giddey at 10.5 points, a 70% hit rate, minus 118 to go over. Do we have some Josh Giddey? Do we want to consider him against Toronto today? Well, we could take a look at it. Oh, I see what's going on here. There's a little update. Look at that. It kind of looks like a little bit like Props.cash, don't you think? Yeah, I'm digging it. It's going to take a little getting used to, but I'm digging that. Anyway, Josh Giddey, last 5 games has gone over 10.5 points in 80% of his games, averaging 11.8 points per game in his last 5. So some really helpful information here on PrizePicks. I'm kind of digging this, Let's go ahead, pull Josh Giddey up here on Props.cash. It's almost like you got a little mini Props.cash built right into PrizePicks now, huh? Kind of interesting. All right, last 10 games, he's averaging 11.4 points per game, putting him over 10.5. Oh, and it doesn't highlight white anymore. It just kind of puts a little white frame around it. All right. We're going to live in dark mode then. 11.8 points per game in his last 5 games. Has done a really consistent job over the last 10 for the most part. Falls really short here against Houston with just 2 points. But overall, the averages for his last 10 and his last 5, more than 10.5. Right now, he is a betting favorite at minus 118 to go over as well. Let's take a look and see if he's got any previous matchups against Toronto. He does not. He has yet to face this Raptors team. So we'll move it on down here. Look at this matchup. Toronto, 9th in points allowed, 21st in field goal percentage allowed, 16th in three-pointers allowed, 23rd in three-point field goal percentage allowed, 16th in free throws, and 14th in shooting guard defense. So overall, I would say that this is not a difficult matchup for Josh Giddey. If we look at the totals here, just 207 points, kind of a lower scoring game. Toronto, a 7-point favorite. So maybe this game ends up getting away from OKC at some point. Hopefully, they're able to keep it close enough for Giddey to get his if you do plan on taking the over. He's getting about 29 to 30 minutes per game in his last 5 games. In terms of field goal attempts, though, kind of hard to trust this guy in the scoring department because we're seeing a steep decline in his field goal attempts. Maybe this has to do with SGA being back in the lineup. But if you look at the last 5, 13, 15, and then it starts to drop, 12, 9, and 6 attempts, averaging about 11 field goal attempts in his last 5 games. 3-point attempts sitting at 3.4, kind of get an idea. He's not a big-time 3-point shooter. And then free throws, he gets to the line every once in a while. But, yeah, I don't know if I'm loving Josh Giddey here. Even though he's got the high hit rate, not sure that I'm in love with this particular play. So let's go ahead, take a look at Action Labs, which is a part of Fantasy Labs. They've got him projected for 11.9 points, so he's a betting favorite at 10.5 to go over. Plus, he's projected for nearly 12 points. So overall, they're liking the over on Josh Giddey. There you go. Who else is trending upwards here on these high hit rate props? We talked about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in a previous show. He's at 11.5 points, but is a minus 120 to go under. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has been scoring the basketball pretty well here for the Washington Wizards, so I don't mind you taking an over. He's sitting at 10.5 points according to PrizePicks. So they've got him 1 point less than your favorite sportsbook does. So you're getting a 1-point value. Just more reason for you to go play your favorite NBA player props over on PrizePicks. Looking at his last 5 games, he has gone over 10.5 in 3 out of 5, 60% hit rate, and he's averaging 14.4 points per game. So let's take a look at Mr. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. We could type his name into Props.cash, pull him right up here. And at 11.5, we see a 70% hit rate. If we move it down to 10.5, which is where you're finding him on PrizePicks today, the hit rate stays the same, still 7 for 10 in his last 10 games. 11.4 points per game over the course of the season. His scoring averages have jumped up to an impressive 14.7 in his last 10 and 13.8 in his last 5, but does have a couple of games where he slumped hard. Against Cleveland, just 4 points. Against Indiana, 8. Let's go ahead and take a look at his previous matchups versus Detroit. He was drafted as a Detroit Piston once upon a time. Maybe he plays with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder in this rematch here against his former squad. These 2 games were from last season as a member of the Lakers, most likely. 6 points against Detroit, 4 against Detroit in both of those games. So not looking very promising if you take the last 2 games, which were from last season, into consideration. Let's look at this matchup, though, because Detroit is a pretty juicy one. 22nd in points allowed, 30th in field goal percentage allowed, 14th in three-pointers allowed, 29th in three-point field goal percentage allowed, 19th in free throws allowed, and 22nd in the league in terms of shooting guard defense. We got a decent total here, 209 points. Washington, 5-point favorites on the road. Maybe you take a little shot here on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Again, I like targeting guys in bounce-back situations. That is exactly what this is for Pope. He's averaging about 26 minutes per game in his last 5 games, getting some shots up too. 10.6, which puts him between 10 and 11 shots per game. And then we look at the 3-point attempts here, 4.4 in his last 5 games, so between 4 and 5. And there's a quick glance at his free throw attempts as well. So let's get you a projection on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Is he a candidate for a bounce back? Do we target him in a situation where maybe he gets right against his former team, the Detroit Pistons? Well, they got him projected for 10.3 points, putting him awfully close to 10.5, but slightly, ever so slightly under 10.5. So there you have it. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, high hit rate, but not a betting favorite to go over at 11.5, and the projections seem to like the under as well. Let's talk about one more potential overplay here. 70% hit rate, Giannis Antetokounmpo. We finally get some star power here in these high hit rate scoring props. Giannis is at 25.5 points today, 70% hit rate in his last 10 games, and he's a betting favorite at minus 116 to go over. Do we have him up on the PrizePicks board? Yes, we do. 25.5 against Miami tonight. So we look at his last 5 games. At 25.5, he has gone over against Detroit with 33, against Indiana with 26, Charlotte with 40, and Cleveland with 27. So Giannis has been getting the job done. 80% hit rate in his last 5 games, averaging about 30 points per game. So let's dig in a little bit deeper here on Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak. Do we like him tonight against the Miami Heat, who are pretty much depleted? I think this game probably blows out at some point, but let's go ahead, take a look at it here. Giannis in his last 10 games, 70% hit rate, averaging 28.8 points per game, which is an uptick versus his season average of 27.6. If we look at the last 5 games, averaging 30 points in his last 5. Again, things are trending up here for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Betting favorite at -116 to go over. We do have some previous matchups we can explore against this Miami Heat team. Overall, guys, from last season, had a hard time covering his points prop at 25.5. Did so in just 3 out of 7 games. 3 out of 7, so that would be less than 50%. When he last met or last played the Miami Heat, that was back on October 21st. Scored just 15 points against them. I'm pretty sure Bam and Jimmy were probably healthy for that game. So kind of an ugly game log here against the Miami Heat for the Greek freak. Let's move it on down here. Look at the matchup. These numbers are going to be a little bit skewed, right? Because no Butler, no Bam. Some of these rankings will probably soften up for Giannis and company tonight. In terms of points allowed, they rank 5th at the moment, 9th in field goal percentage allowed, 28th in three-pointers allowed. So if you have any Milwaukee Bucks three-point props that you're liking, might not be a bad idea to fire them up against this Miami Heat team. 13th in three-point field goal percentage allowed, 18th in free throws allowed. Maybe you take a free throw prop against the Miami Heat. 18th. They're kind of giving up a lot of free throws per game, almost 21 free throws allowed per game. And then they rank 7th in small forward defense. Looking at this game total, pretty healthy number, 216.5. That's the total points that the Bucks are projected to score combined with the total points that the Miami Heat are projected to score. You add them together, and that's how you get that 216.5 implied total. Milwaukee, 6.5 point favorites on the road tonight. Looking at his minutes, about 32 minutes per game in his last 5, which is slightly down versus where he's at for the season. Field goal attempts, 17 to 18 per game, the norm for Giannis Antetokounmpo. 3-point attempts, he takes about 3 or 4 per game, averaging 2.8 in his last 5. And here's his free throw numbers. This guy has 23 free throw upside, depending on the matchup. So this one here against Miami, I probably would take the over on some free throws, depending on where they put him up. If he's at like 5 or 6, I think that's doable. If you look at his game logs, you can kind of see how well he's done. 6, 9, 6, 8, 15, 9, 8, 7. So if he's like right around 6, I'd probably take the over and give that a shot. All right, let's get you a projection on Giannis. And then we can move along to our next player prop category. They've got Giannis going for nearly 29 points on Action Labs. So definitely consider an overplay here on Giannis Antetokounmpo, showing great form in his last 5 games, covering at 25.5 and 80% of those games. I just wonder how long this game stays close and competitive. Miami shorthanded. Don't know if Kyle Lowry, Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson, and Precious Achiuwa Precious Achiuwa no longer with the Heat. I don't know if Tyler Herro, Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Dwayne Dedman, and company keep this game close with this Milwaukee Bucks squad. But there you have it. Let's go back to the trends page here. We'll just kind of quickly touch on some of the low hit rate guys. You got Devontae Graham, 13.5 points, a 20% hit rate. If you're wanting to take an under on somebody, Graham makes for a good candidate at 13.5 points. Betting favorite at -122. Do you keep riding the Bradley Beal under points train? Maybe you do. 20% hit rate at 23.5 points, -112 on the under. Pascal Siakam, 22.5 points. That number's kind of high for him. 20% hit rate, -116 to go under at the moment. We got Levine at 29.5 points today. 30% hit rate, -114 to go under. Be careful with that one, though, because we already talked about all the names that are going to be out for Chicago. No DeRozan, no Caruso. And then finally, Lonzo Ball at 13.5. Also want to be careful with him, 30% hit rate, but he is a betting favorite to go over 13.5 points in this one. So there you go. There's some of your point props to consider. let's go ahead, move things over to the rebound category. Oh, I see what they've done here. They kind of took the fantasy score and baked it right in line here with the rest of these player props. A little bit of change going on here on PrizePicks. Good morning to everybody who's just now joining. Appreciate you jumping in here and spending some time with me, doing some research here. Arrington says Action Labs was right on Russ' assist last night. Yeah, they had him projected for like 11 dimes, and I think he had 11 dimes. It's pretty crazy. Good morning to you, Juju. Good to see you. Corey says, last night discouraged the hell out of me. I'm for sure taking time off. Well, tonight would be a good time to not take the day off. I think with 13 games, I think we're going to find some spots, some plays that we're going to really like here. But yeah, I appreciate you for chiming in there, Corey. Appreciate that little piece of information. But I wouldn't be taking tonight off. That's just my 2 cents. But I feel you. If you got to take a break, you got to take a break. Sometimes you do. All right, rebound props, folks. Darius Garland at 2.5 boards, leading the way in 80% hit rate. Are we going to see Darius Garland up for rebounds? We typically don't. And today we don't as well. Drew Holiday at 4.5 boards and 80% hit rate. Seeing even money right now, minus 110 over, minus 110 on the under. Are we going to get Drew Holiday up? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like they want to give us any of these high hit rate guys just yet. Nikola Jokic at 10.5 boards and 80% hit rate, betting favorite at minus 128 to go over. They are giving us Joker, but they aren't giving us him at 10.5. So if you take a look at Nikola Jokic here, he is at 11 projected rebounds on PrizePicks. Looking at his game logs, though, in his last 5 games, he has hit this number 80% of the time, 11 or better on his rebounds, and 4 out of his last 5 on a 4-game streak of hitting 11 or more as well. So let's talk about Nikola Jokic. I think he makes for a very popular play tonight due to these high hit rates. Even though we're getting him at 11, I still think maybe we take a shot on the over here. Looking at his last 10 games, guys, at 10.5 and 80% hit rate. Let's crank it up to 11, see if anything changes. It does slightly change. He's got one push in there where he finished with exactly 11 rebounds against the New York Knicks back on December 4th. 13.5 rebounds per game. Very good rebounder. 13.6 in his last 10. 12.6 in his last 5 games. Let's look at this previous matchup versus the New Orleans Pelicans. These were all from last season. Kind of struggled to rebound against the Pels. 10, 6, and 7. But last season was last season. I don't put a whole lot of weight into that. Going back down here, looking at the matchup against the Pelicans, pretty tough team. A lot of red up on the board. They rank 6th in total rebounds, 5th in offensive rebounds, 9th in defensive rebounds, and 7th in center defense. The total on this game, not bad, 213.5. So a pretty decent total. Denver, 2.5-point favorite. So I like that this game is a pretty strong total and that it's projected to stay close and competitive. That gives a guy like Nikola Jokic an opportunity to get there on his props tonight. 33 minutes per game or more in his last 5 games, 10.8 rebounds per game in his last 5. You kind of get an idea. The green represents offensive rebounds that Jokic grabs. So he gets a couple of those here and there every once in a while. Going over to Action Labs, let's go ahead and pull up a projection for Nikola Jokic tonight. They've got him projected for 12.6 rebounds, putting him over 11 rebounds by 1.6. So the over looking like a pretty decent play. Again, cross-reference these on your favorite projection sites. There's a number of them out there that are totally free, but Action Labs like their tools. 12.6 rebounds. I think we can kind of trust them here. Maybe the over on Nikola Jokic is a good look. Moving it back here to the trends page on Props.cash, though. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope at 2.5 rebounds and 80% hit rate, minus 158 to go over. He's not a guy that I typically fire up when it comes to rebounds. Here's another guy, though, to consider. Will Barton at 4.5. He's been a popular play. If we get him at 4 rebounds, I probably like the over there, but we're not seeing him up on the PrizePicks board just yet. Spencer Dinwiddie, 70% hit rate at just 3.5 boards. He's at minus 150 right now to go over. Are we going to get Spencer Dinwiddie up on the board? Kind of doubt it. Not seeing him at the moment, and for good reason. He represents a pretty high hit rate. Killian Hayes, another guy that's been boarding well. 3.5 boards, 70% hit rate on him. Minus 114 to go over. We got Josh Giddey at 6'5". 70% hit rate, but a big betting favorite to go under at -142. So there you have it. One guy that we didn't talk about, though, Isaiah Stewart, comes up a little bit short at 9.5 rebounds in his last game against OKC. This could be a bounce back spot for him. They drop his number down to 8.5 against Washington. He might be a guy to target. Let's go ahead and look at Beef Stew. He hurt us the other night, but maybe he gets right tonight at just 8.5 boards. Seems doable. He's a -122 betting favorite to go over. 8 rebounds per game for the course of the season, 9 average in his last 10, 11 average in his last 5. Going against the Washington Wizards tonight, we look at his last 3 games. These are all from last season, 8, 7, and 12, covers in just 1 out of 3. We'll move it down here. Look at this matchup, though. This is where things get pretty nice for him. Washington, 13th in total rebounds allowed, 22nd in offensive, 11th in defensive, and then 28th in power forward defense. Pretty decent total, 209. Washington, 5-point favorites on the road. So kind of like some Isaiah Stewart. Maybe we go back to him. He's been rebounding pretty well. Got him projected at 9.8 rebounds. 9.8, really close to 10. So they think Beef Stew gets it done against the Washington Wizards. All right. Talked about some rebounds. Let's move it on over to the assist category. See who the top dime droppers are. I appreciate everybody joining me this morning. We'll definitely start taking your questions toward the end of the stream. Hold off on those. Leave those at the end, and then we'll kind of go through. That way I don't have to scroll all the way back up to the top of the stream. You guys can just leave them for me right there in real time. We'll do a little lightning round and touch on your favorite props. So we're going to look at some assists now on Props.cash. We flipped that over. We got the last 10 games pulled up here. Let's see who the high hit rate guys are in the last 10 games. We've talked Cade Cunningham in the past. He was doing a great job at covering his assist prop, but things kind of cooled off on Cade. Killian Hayes started stepping up, dropping more dimes, but maybe Cade Cunningham, maybe it's time to revisit Cade Cunningham. Let's look at it. Last 10 games, an 80% hit rate. Last 5 games, a 60% hit rate. There were the 2 duds right here on November 28th against the Lakers with 2, November 30th against Portland with 1. But in the last 2 games, he's refound the assists, dropping 6 against Phoenix, 5 against OKC. So yeah, maybe we take another shot here at Cade Cunningham going against Washington tonight. I think it's at least worth exploring further. What do you guys think? Let's do it. Cade Cunningham, a big betting favorite at -130 to go over 4.5 assists. He's averaging 4.6 for the season, 5.4 in his last 10, 3.8 in his last 5. We talked about that. A couple of duds in there against LA and against Portland. No previous games against Washington in Cade's young career. Going down here, looking at this matchup, Washington does rank 10th. 10th in total assists allowed, giving up about 23 per game, 20th in point guard defense. Getting plenty of minutes, 32 to 33 per game in his last 5 games. Let's pull a projection up for young Cade Cunningham here. For that, we're going back to Action Labs. We type in CADE, easy as pie, 4.7 projected assists. So they do like him to go over. He's a betting favorite to go over, projected to go over. His last 5 games, he's gone over in 3 out of 5, 60% hit rate. We wish it was a little bit higher, but the last 2, he's showing better form in terms of racking up those dimes. So maybe we go back to Cade Cunningham here. Maybe a new hot streak is starting up with Cade Cunningham. The other guy we're going to talk about is Bradley Beal. He's at 5.5 assists. I think they had him up at 6.5 in his last game. Fell short against the Indiana Pacers. I believe I mentioned in that live stream that I did not like Bradley Beal at 6.5 assists. He's at 5.5 today, a little bit more of a friendlier number. So let's take a look at him. 70% hit rate, -142 to go over 5.5 assists. And in his last 5 games, he's also rocking a 60% hit rate in his last 5. So I think Bradley Beal's one that's worth talking about on the flip side of this game. Detroit and Washington locking horns tonight. He's averaging 5.9 assists over the course of the season, 6.1 in his last 10, 5.8 in his last 5. Again, coming off of a game where he's flopped. That is one of my favorite times to go back to a player prop. And at 4 assists, that does represent a flop. That puts him under where his averages are for the season, the last 10 and the last 5. So we expect him to hopefully get back up closer to those averages tonight. Looking at 2 games last season against the Detroit Pistons, had 6 dimes and 3 dimes respectively, ended up splitting in those 2 previous games. But last season was last season, so we kind of don't, put too much stock into that. Looking at this Detroit defense, they do give up quite a few assists per game, nearly 24 per game, ranking 18th in the NBA, 22nd in shooting guard defense. So there you go. Bradley Beal looking like a pretty decent play here, getting about 35 minutes per game in his last 5 games. And we can pull a projection up for Brad Beal. This could be a good time for us to go back to one of our favorite props this season. Now, they do have him projected at just 5 assists, but I do strongly recommend you cross-reference his prop on various sites. Don't just rely on one resource, in this case, Action Labs. Aggregate a projection for your favorite prop. In this case, go to Action Labs at 5 assists. Go to Numberfire or Betting Pros or RotoWire, one of those other free sites out there, and see where they've got them. And then you can kind of maybe average those numbers together. The 5 assists here, maybe he's at 5 or 6 on some of these other sites, and come up with a number. If it's over 5.5, then maybe you feel good about going back to Bradley Beal in what looks like a pretty decent bounce back spot against the Pistons. All right. Who else we got here? Jeremy Grant, 2.5 assists, 70% hit rate, but he is a betting favorite to go under 2.5 assists. Probably will be a fade for me. Listen, we can't have a live stream without talking about my boy Franz Wagner and his assists. He is not up on the PrizePicks board. God, I hope that they add him later, though. Let's pull Franz Wagner up just for future reference, okay? Let's say maybe PrizePicks eventually adds him to the board. Franz Wagner, if he's at 3.5 assists, has hit this in 8 out of 10 games, an 80% hit rate. Where he's really started to shine and pick things up is in the last 5 or so games since Jalen Suggs, our other fellow rookie, has been out for Orlando. Wagner has really stepped up as a playmaker, as an assister, facilitator behind Cole Anthony. So yes, I do like Franz Wagner at 3.5 assists tonight versus this Sacramento Kings squad. No previous games to look at here, but I mean, there's a whole lot of green, a whole lot to like on Wagner here. And Sacramento, not an overly tough team in terms of the assist department, just 23.3 assists allowed per game. But Wagner, I think, ended up going over his assist prop at 2.5 by halftime against the Golden State Warriors, a much tougher team than the Sacramento Kings. So yes, I like Franz Wagner if they give him to us. I don't know that they will. I think they are on to the fact that Wagner's been hot. He's projected for 2.8 assists. Guys, I just think that's too low. I think this guy gets at least 3-4 assists here. 2.8 just seems a little bit too low. I like the over on Wagner again. We keep riding it until the wheels fall off. That's my philosophy. All right, going down here, we're going to look at some of the low hit rate guys. Guys you should think about going under on their various props. We got Karis LeVert at 3.5 assists, just a 10% hit rate, surprisingly. For a guard, doesn't get a whole lot of assists, minus 122 to go under at the moment. We are getting Karis LeVert up here on PrizePicks at 3.5. Looking at his last 5 games, he's only gone over in 1 out of 5. Just a 20% hit rate in his last 5. 10% hit rate in his last 10. So let's look at Karis LeVert. We don't talk a lot about unders, but I know we should be doing it more. The overs are just way more fun to play, right? Let's do a little bit of a deeper dive on Karis LeVert at 3.5 assists. Holy smokes. Sakes alive. It is a lot of red here on Karis LeVert's lovely graph chart provided by Props.cash. So you can see why people, the public that is, are betting the under on your favorite sports books at minus 122. Averaging 2.9 assists in the full season, 2.4 in the last 10, 2.6 in the last 5. Now against New York, he does have a previous matchup against New York. 2 of them, in fact, he went over in one game and he went under in the next. These are from this season, not from last season. This is this season. He went over in one game, under on the next. So 50-50 there, right? Averaging 4 assists per game in 2 previous matchups against this New York Knicks team. But still, looking at what we see here, I mean, we got to be leaning toward the under, at least thinking about going under on him, right? The New York Knicks defense, 23rd in assists allowed. But are those assists going to go to Karis LeVert, or are they going to go to Malcolm Brogdon or somebody else like Domantas Sabonis? It remains to be seen, but they do rank 17th in shooting guard defense. We're looking at 209 implied points with the Pacers as 5-point favorites at home. LeVert, his minutes, right around 32 per game in the last 5 games. Let's get you a projection on this prop. This could be a good underplay if you're looking to play some unders tonight. Of course, they got to go over when we're feeling the under. 4.6 projected assists puts him over 3.5. So definitely cross-reference this on some other sites. See where they land on Karis LeVert and his projected assists. This guy just hasn't shown an ability to go over 3.5 assists with very good success. So I don't know. I would probably have to lean toward the under gun to head, just looking at the historical data we have on Mr. Karis LeVert. Kelly Oubre at 2.5 assists, covering in just 10% of his games, but be careful with that. Obviously, all the injuries for Charlotte are piling up. Injuries, I mean sicknesses. You know, they're all dealing with COVID there. Devontae Graham at 4.5, only covered in 10% of his last 10 games, minus 152 to go under. Lonzo Ball, be careful with him as well, but at 6.5 assists, that does seem a little steep. He's a minus 130, though, to go over 6.5 assists. And his teammate, Nikola Vucevic, 4.5 assists, a 20% hit rate there. So that's enough about the assists, guys. Let's go ahead, take a look at some three-point makes. We'll kick it on over to chat in just a moment, take some of your favorite plays, and then we'll get you out of here and on your way to locking some entries. 13 NBA games tonight. 13 NBA games. Did we talk rebounds? I'm trying to think. I didn't skip rebounds, did I? No, we talked rebounds. We liked Jokic there. Yeah, we did talk rebounds. All right, I'm just making sure. I'm losing my mind here. All right, 3-point props. Let's do it. By the way, smash the like button if you're picking up any type of valuable information or knowledge from the stream. That lets me know that you love what I'm doing and encourages me to keep going. I'll keep showing up every morning and helping you folks out as long as you keep liking and supporting these videos and the channel as we march toward 3,000 subscribers. Trying to get there by January 1st. So if you're not subbed yet, make sure you get subbed right now. Speaking of subs, appreciate Carmen for subbing to the channel 5 minutes ago. Appreciate that. Thomas, thanks for the subscription. Carlos, thank you for subbing to the channel. Marcus, I appreciate you subbing as well. King AJ Official has subbed to the channel. Moberly Gaming subbing to the channel as well. So those are our new subs for today. Appreciate everybody joining me in what we're doing here. All right, 3-point props. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, we've talked about him in previous shows. 1.5 threes, 80% hit rate, minus 142 to go over. They're not going to give us Contavious Caldwell-Pope. Evan Mobley at just a half of 3-point make, 70% hit rate, betting favorite at minus 125 to go over. We do have him up on the board. Do we trust Mr. Mobley to make 1-3 tonight against the Chicago Bulls? He's done so in 3 out of his last 5 games, a 60% hit rate. I'm not going to dig too deep on this. I don't love to take those little 0.5 3-point make props. I'll pull up a projection for you, though. They got Evan Mobley going for under 0.5 3-point makes at 0.4. So, yeah, not my favorite props to play, those 0.5 ones. Let's see what else we got here, though. We got Desmond Bane. Is Ja Morant out? Yes, he is. So Desmond Bane's always in play for me when Ja Morant is out. Is he up on the PrizePicks board, though? That's the bigger question. Doesn't look like it. Not seeing him at the moment. Maybe he gets added later in the day. Andrew Wiggins, is he up on the board at 1.5 3-point makes? He is not, unfortunately, but 70% hit rate for him. Minus 184 to go over, so that could be a good look if you're wanting to take an over on some Andrew Wiggins. Jordan Clarkson for the Utah Jazz, also not up on the PrizePicks board. Well, my gosh, who do we have up on the PrizePicks board? Lonzo Ball. Do we trust Lonzo Ball to make 3 or more 3-pointers tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers? Let's look at it. Lonzo Ball, 2.5, will step into a much larger scoring role, obviously, without DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso in the lineup. 60% hit rate in his last 10 games, is a betting favorite at minus 136 to go over 2.5 3-point makes. In his last 5 games, he has gone over in 3 out of 5. That's a 60% hit rate, so decent decent hit rates here for Lonzo Ball. Let's dig into this one a little bit further, a little bit deeper for you guys. Could be a tricky one that trips some people up here. Let's see what happens here. All right, averaging 3 3-point makes per game for the season. 2.8 3-point makes in the last 10 and 3 3-point makes in his last 5. So he's actually shooting the ball better than I anticipated. I didn't expect him to be making this many threes per game. We talked about him being a betting favorite at minus 136 to go over. One previous matchup from last season for Lonzo Ball, he made just 1 3 against Cleveland back on March 12th. Kind of throw that one out. Not too worried about that. Going down here, looking at the matchup against the Cavs, they rank 9th in 3-point field goal percentage, 4th in 3-pointers allowed, 14th in point guard defense. So not the sexiest matchup here for Lonzo Ball. Looking at the total, 210.5 points, kind of a low-ish total, low-ish. Not super low, but, also not very high at 220 or more implied points. But the Cavs, 3-point favorites in this game. Lonzo's minutes, 36.6. You're seeing a lot more minutes in the last couple of games here for him. 39.9 against Brooklyn, 39.7 against Denver. I expect him to see the court quite a bit. No Kobe White, no DeMar DeRozan, no Alex Caruso. Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine will be thrust into more minutes and a larger role than they usually have on this team. Looking at his 3-point attempts, 8.2 attempts in his last 5. So we can have him up here around 8 to 10 to 11 attempts tonight. Then I do like the over at 2.5. I think it's worth taking a shot on. Won't have a ton of it, but I think it's worth at least having some of it. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection. They've got Lonzo Ball making 3.7 projected 3-point makes against this Cleveland Cavaliers squad. So there you go. Projected to go over by 1.2 3-point makes versus this 2.5 number for Mr. Lonzo Ball. Looking at the rest of these, Isaac Okoro, he's not going to be up on the board. Darius Garland, we can talk about. He's at 2 3-point makes. I think he'll make for a popular play. Obviously, against a tough Milwaukee Bucks squad, hit just 1 3. Just 1 3. But looking at the previous games on Darius Garland, 5 against a tough Utah team, 5 against Washington, 4 against Miami, had 1 against Dallas. They're kind of a tough defense too. I think this is another one of those prime candidates for a bounce back spot here. Darius Garland, 2.5 3-point makes, covering this in 60% of his last 10 games. He is a pretty big betting favorite at minus 162 to go under. So do we think Garland stays under 2.5 threes for 2 consecutive games? Or 2 threes for 2 consecutive games? I don't. I kind of think he gets back on track tonight and knocks down at least 2 3-pointers. Let's go ahead and dig into this one a little bit deeper because I've heard people already in my Discord community talking about this prop, liking this one. So let's dig into it. We're going to bump this from 2.5, which is where you're going to find him on most sportsbooks, down to 2. And at 2 3-point makes in his last 9 games, 67% hit rate, going 6 for 9. He's averaging 2.7 makes in the full season, 2.8 in the last 10, and 3.2 in the last 5, showing pretty good form in his last 5 games. This matchup, don't pay attention to these numbers quite as much. There's a lot of injuries for Chicago. I think these numbers kind of get thrown out the window tonight in this particular matchup. Talked about the total, 210.5, just a 3-point spread. Not really worried about that. 34.7 minutes per game, nearly 35 minutes per game. His 3-point attempts, 5.6, kind of down a little bit versus the last 10 games and the full season averages. Getting about, 6 or more in his last 5 games. I expect him to get back on track tonight. I just think this is a good spot to go back to some Darius Garland. Let's pull up a projection, though, on Mr. Garland here. Kid's been hooping. They got him projected at 2.4 3-point makes against the Bulls tonight. I would smash the over on this one. Worst case, I think we end up in a push, which isn't the end of the world. Not the end of the world. For a guy like Garland, who's going to have the ball in his hands a lot, who's going to be asked to score and do a lot for this Cavaliers squad, I don't mind you taking a shot on that one. Let's go down and look at some of the low hit rate guys here. We got Zach LaVine at 3.5 3-point makes. Betting favorite at minus 172 to go under. So we look at him, 3, 2, 3, 2, 4. He's only gone over 3 3-point makes in 1 game against Miami. He's pushed, though, in 2 out of those games. So overall, 3 or more 3-point makes, 60% hit rate for LaVine. We can pull up a projection for you on him real quick. He's doggone menus would get out of my way. Zach LaVine projected for 3.7 3-point makes, so they like him to go over. So be careful going under on that particular prop. I think at 3, you take the over, probably end up in a push type of thing. Karis LeVert, not a guy making very many threes, 1.5. We're not seeing him up on the PrizePicks board, though. Joel Embiid at 1.5 3-point makes. Are we going to get Embiid up on the board? I doubt that. That'd be kind of weird. Jonas Valanciunas at 1.5 3-point makes. Not seeing him up on the board either. That would be an interesting one. Bradley Beal at 1.5. He's up on the board. 1-1-0-1-1. Not making a lot of threes this season. I just never feel good about going under on Bradley Beal, despite the fact that he has not hit 2 or more threes very often this season. I see you in chat asking about Cade Cunningham, and I can tell why, because in his last 4 games, he's hit 3, 5, 3, and 6 threes. He's starting to find the range from beyond the arc. So let's look at Cade Cunningham, and then we'll take some questions from chat and then get you guys on your way for the day. Cade Cunningham at 2.5 out on your favorite sportsbook, but just 2 3-point makes on PrizePicks. 56% hit rate in his last 9 games. He's gone 5 for 9. If we look at just the last 5, though, looks a lot better there, doesn't it? 4 out of 5, an 80% hit rate. He's averaging 3.4 3-point makes in his last 5 games. Let's see if he's got any previous matchups against Washington. We talked about it. He does not. So now we can go down and look at this matchup. Washington, pretty good job at defending the 3-ball. 8th in 3-point field goal percentage, 1st in 3-pointers allowed, and 20th in point guard defense. So it might be a little tougher than you think for Cade Cunningham to knock down 3 3-pointers tonight. I'll pull a projection for you, and then we'll start taking some questions. Cade Cunningham projected for 2.3. 2.3. So you might end up in a tie or push situation on Cade Cunningham. All right, there you go. There you have it. Over to the chat we go. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Please drop likes on this live stream. Let's keep the streak alive. 100 or more likes as I start to kind of comb through your favorite prop plays here. Go up a little bit here. We'll start right under Anthony Ruiz, who likes the Beal assist prop. Looks like he likes the Beal assist prop. Leroy says Kyle Kuzma over 2.5 assists looks solid. We don't talk a lot about Kyle Kuzma. Is he up on the PrizePicks board? He's not. But if they do add him, or maybe you play somewhere else that's not PrizePicks. Listen, I wish you would play on PrizePicks. If you do decide to play on PrizePicks, use my code down below. There's a link down in the description. Get you a 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit up to $100. So if you put in 50, they're going to give you 50. You're going to have $100 to get you going, making your first entry on PrizePicks totally risk-free. You're playing with house money. So definitely check that out. Use promo code Curry. Promo code Curry. Kyle Kuzma at 2.5 assists. I'll pull up a projection for you. Since we don't have him up on the PrizePicks board, I won't go too deep into this one. He's at 1.5, though, out on allergies. DraftKings Sportsbook, minus 130 over at 1.5 assists. 2.2 is his projected assist number, though. Again, not seeing him up on the PrizePicks board. I'm not sure where you're seeing Kuzma at 2.5 assists, but you could get him at 1.5 assists if you shop that prop around, it looks like. Affordable Luxury Records is asking about Drew Holiday's assist. Let's go down, find Drew Holiday. He's at 6.5 dimes against the Miami Heat today. His last 5 games looking pretty darn juicy here. 9 against Indiana, 7 against Charlotte, 9 against Toronto, 7 against Miami, and 8 against Cleveland. So 5 straight games where he's gone for 7 or more assists, covering 6.5 assists. I like what I'm seeing here, showing great form in his last handful of games. Oh, you know what? I'm looking at 3-point shots for Kuzma. Take that back. He's projected for 2.6 assists and is at 2.5 assists on DraftKings Sportsbook, a betting favorite of minus 125. Sorry about that, but I caught it. Better late than never, right? All right, Drew Holiday's assists now. 7.8 projected assists according to Action Labs. So we round that up. We call it 8 assists. They like him to go over 6.5 once again against the Miami Heat. So he had just 2 games ago, against this same Miami Heat squad, 7 assists. So, yeah, I think we could go back. He's riding a pretty hot streak here. 5 straight of covering 6.5 times. Don't mind it at all. Continuing on with the lightning round here. Let's see what else you guys are talking about. Dave Jones says, good morning, CJ. Are you going live on Sunday for NFL prize picks this season? I've done it a couple times, Dave. I've done it a couple times, but definitely doesn't have the same turnout as NBA. So I've kind of like taken Sunday as a day to recharge, refresh, so that I'm ready to go for you guys on Monday. I kind of relax on Sunday. Sometimes I get crazy, show up on a Saturday and do an NBA stream. But maybe I could do like an NFL stream on a Saturday kind of thing. I don't know. Would you guys be into that? Let me know. Says 3.5 threes is a lot, but Oubre should be hitting. So he's liking some Kelly Oubre on 3-point makes. We know Oubre's kind of got the green light, been able to shoot the ball really as much as he wants. Probably why we're not getting him up on the prize picks board today. But I can go ahead and pull a projection up for Kelly Oubre for you if it helps you out. Action Labs, they've got Oubre going for 2.8 3-point makes. Philadelphia, kind of a tough matchup. They're, I think, fully healthy at this point, other than obviously Ben Simmons. But if he's at 3.5 3-point makes, like I'm seeing him on DraftKings Sportsbook at minus 135, they like him to go under 3.5. He's projected at 2.8. Maybe the matchup here for Oubre isn't the easiest. His points, though, is another way that you can go. If you don't like Oubre's 3-point prop, take a look at his points. He's been doing great with those as well. What else are we talking? Sed's liking Franz Wagner over on his points, rebounds, and assists. He says that looks very solid. Let's see. Do I have a projection for points, rebounds, and assists? I do. I do indeed. Action Labs coming through clutch. We got Franz Wagner projected for 20.2 points, rebounds, and assists. He is at 22.5, though. On your favorite sports book, minus 140 to go over 22.5. So he's projected to go under, but people are slapping down their money on the over at 22.5. Now, here on Prize Picks, we have fantasy points, which is the closest thing we have to points, rebounds, and assists. Fantasy points include points, rebounds, and assists, but they also include steals and blocks. So maybe if we're liking the over, like Sed is suggesting on points, rebounds, and assists for Franz Wagner, maybe we take a look at the fantasy points for him as well. Zach Glenn, member of the Discord and Patreon community, is liking RJ Barrett under on points. Or maybe Darius Garland under on points. I think Garland struggled last game to score the basketball. I'm kind of liking Darius Garland to come back to life tonight. He's at 20.5 against Chicago. Yeah, he only had 10 points. I think that number's got to come back up, right? I don't know if he covers 20.5. I think on Prize Picks, I like his 3-point prop at just 2 3-point makes, a little bit more than his points. But I can go ahead and pull you up a projection using Action Labs. You got to pay for Action Labs, folks. This is some exclusive stuff you're getting here with these projections on Action Labs. Between you and me, if you like my Prize Picks content and you want even more content from me, coming soon, I will be appearing on the Action Network with my buddy Dan Titus. We're going to be doing a Prize Picks focus show on the Action Network's YouTube channel. Big accomplishment for me in my journey as a content creator, appearing on a huge media outlet like the Action Network. So really looking forward to it. You're going to get even more content from me over on the Action Network YouTube channel. You're hearing it here first. That's an exclusive drop. Nobody else really knows that, but I will be appearing on the Action Network with my buddy Dan Titus. So keep an eye out on that. I'll definitely be tweeting stuff out, sending stuff out in Discord for you to go check out that content when it starts going up. So anyway, Darius Garland projected to go under 20.5 points. So that kind of feeds into what you were saying. You were wanting to go under on Darius Garland. I like the over on his threes, but maybe he stays under on his real life points. What else are we talking about here, gang? What else do we have this morning? George also liking the Garland under 20.5 points. RJ Barrett under on points was the other one that Zach mentioned. RJ Barrett had a great game last night. I know that much. ended up with 32 points. I think he comes back down to earth. Hopefully he does against Indiana tonight. He's at 16.5 points right now. Has only covered 16.5 in one game, and it was that huge game against San Antonio last night. So let's pull up a projection for RJ Barrett. Yeah, they got him going under at 16.1. He's also projected to go under, or not projected, they're betting the under on sportsbooks at 16.5, minus 120 to go under there. So RJ Barrett could be an under option for you tonight. Stevie Wonder says Wiggins over 1 out of 5 threes, 1.5 threes. Yes, Wiggins over 1.5 threes. It makes sense now. Sorry, you put that slash in there. It kind of threw me off. But yeah, Wiggins over 1.5 threes. We talked about him. High hit rate's been doing great in terms of shooting the basketball, getting a lot of looks for the Golden State Warriors. Anthony says, I'm just going to copy paste a couple days ago props. Same team, same numbers, plus what you put in Patreon. All right, listen, the matchups are a little bit different though. So I don't know if I would say go the copy paste route, but I understand what you're saying. Brendan's saying, where's Brendan at? Brendan, I lost you. Brendan's saying, oh, did Brendan delete his message? What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Franz Wagner over fantasy points. Yes, I talked about that one. If you like the points, rebounds, and assists for Wagner, then maybe you take the over on his fantasy points. He's at 31 projected fantasy points today. 31. Look at his last 5 games. Has gone over in all of those. A 100% hit rate at 31 fantasy points. Now, another thing that you get with the Fantasy Labs is you get fantasy point projections. So for that, we can go ahead and pull up Franz Wagner. Now, surprisingly, against Sacramento, they got him projected for 25 fantasy points at the moment. I am a little miffed, a little perplexed, a little dumbfounded that they would go under on Franz Wagner. So double check his projection on some of those other sites out there. Maybe they have him going over 31. But yeah, 5 straight where he's went over. You would think that maybe they would like the over, but that is not the case at the moment. Leroy's liking Garland over 8.5 rebounds and assists. Maybe. I think a lot of that's going to probably be made up. Bulk of that's going to be made up by his assist, obviously. Rebounds and assists. Yeah, we do have projections for that. Sweet. Look at you, Action Labs, coming through clutch. 9.8 projected rebounds and assists for Darius Garland. At 9.5, he's a minus 125 to go over. So hopefully that helps you out, Leroy. Seth says, yeah, when teams play the same teams within 2 or 3 days, normally it's a repeat. Okay. Giannis or Middleton fantasy points. Blue samples. We could take a look at Giannis or Middleton fantasy points. Oh, I meant to say, don't let me forget, but I wanted to do that drawing. We're going to have a drawing later for 2 people. We talked about it in yesterday's show. 2 people from yesterday who DM'd me on Discord. We're going to do a drawing, and I will get back to you 2 winners. We're going to have 2 people get free access to Patreon for the rest of December, thanks to my man Hoodat in Discord for sponsoring that giveaway. So definitely going to be doing that today. We'll have the drawing today, and I will reach out to the winners in Discord. So didn't want to let that escape me. But anyway, Giannis or Middleton fantasy points. We could take a look at those real quick using the models here, the projection models on Fantasy Labs. So Middleton's projected for 38, we'll call it. 38 for him. And Giannis is at 55.8. So they like the over on Giannis. Over on Giannis, that would be about a 3-point difference and about a 4-point difference on Chris Middleton in terms of fantasy points. So hopefully that helps you out. David is liking some Spencer Dinwiddie over assists, seeing some nice projections. He wants to check out what Fantasy Labs / Action Labs has to say on Spencer Dinwiddie assist. Well, we liked Brad Beal at 5'5". I think this could be a good spot for him to bounce back. Let's look at Dinwiddie here. He was also once a member of the Detroit Pistons back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. 4.5 assists. Has only covered this number in 1 out of his last 5 games. So just a 20% hit rate. And you're liking the over on this? Why? I'm wondering what you like about this one. Let's go ahead and pull it up here, though. We'll use Action Labs once again to do so. Okay. So I got it projected at 6.1 assists. 6.1 assists, but he's been struggling. I don't think that I want to go there. I think I'd feel more safe, more comfortable with maybe Bradley Beal here at 5.5. Just showing a little bit better output, higher hit rate in terms of assists. What else do we got here, folks? Let's see what else we're talking about as I continue to buzz through some of these props. Cade Cunningham threes, we talked about him. I think Cade makes for an interesting overplay on PrizePicks at just 2 3-point makes. We discussed him already, showing great form in his last 4 games. I don't mind you taking a shot on Cade Cunningham over. Andy says, finally made it to the live stream. Welcome, Andy. Glad you can make it this morning. Fournier fumbled the bag. Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the show. Fournier's on our list today. Lonzo Ball might shut Garland down, so maybe this isn't the bounce back spot for Garland. New York Warrior 5 is saying maybe we should stay away from Garland. Okay. John, yeah, Fournier got us. They benched him in the 4th for whatever reason. Tom Thibodeau, we can't trust him anymore. We can't trust you, Tibbs. Kyle says one of the best unders of the day is Fred VanVleet and his 6 assists. Fred VanVleet at 6 assists versus OKC. You think this is a strong play? 5 straight games he's went under 6 assists. 5 straight for VanVleet going under 6 assists. I got him projected for 6.2. He's at 5.5 out on your favorite sports book, a minus 160. They're betting the over at 5.5 assists. So maybe he ends up with exactly 6 assists and you end up pushing. But yeah, I'd have to say, based on what we're seeing here in his last 5 games, lean toward the under on Fred VanVleet at 6 dimes. Todd says that I covered all. Just write it down with notes and make decisions. Gotta love him. Appreciate that, Todd. Thanks for the shout out. Love Giannis over 25.5 points. Yep, we talked about some Giannis earlier. Mind of Reese, what prop sounds better? Garland over 7.5 assists or over on 2 threes? For me, I kind of want to go back to Garland at 2 threes. Yeah, there's a chance it ties or pushes, whatever you want to call it, over on PrizePicks, but I feel like this is going to be one of them games where, man, the shots are going to be flying. A lot of guard play here with Garland and Lonzo and Zach LaVine and these dudes. I just feel like this could be a spot where Garland gets back on track and hits at least 2 threes. I could be wrong, though. I've been wrong before. Todd's liking some beef stew. Isaiah Stewart over 8.5 boards. We talked about him earlier. Buddy says they're saying we can't bet first half, and we can. Sorry. PrizePicks is saying we can bet first half with full game on PrizePicks now with this new update. Pretty big news there. I know a lot of you like to play some of those first half props. Thomas says, I don't know. I think the Bucks Heat has some blowout potential, so I don't know about Giannis points. Well, you got to hope, Thomas, that if this game does turn into a blowout for the Milwaukee Bucks, that Giannis has a large hand in that blowout, right? Brian is asking, Jared Allen fantasy points on Number Fire. Good question. Don't have Number Fire pulled up, but I do have some fantasy labs pulled up for you. Maybe that'll help you out. Jared Allen is the guy in question here, folks. 38.2 projected fantasy points. 38.2. So Jared Allen over on PrizePicks, he's at 39. So they like him to go under, even though he's went over in 5 straight games. Fantasy Labs is projecting an under, but I think the Chicago Bulls pretty soft in the middle. So I like some Jared Allen today. Arrington, Marcus Smart over 5 assists. Well, I liked Marcus Smart last night, and it ended up paying off. Do we go back against the Clippers to Marcus Smart's assists after he finally gets back on track? Or does he go back into the hole, getting 2 or 4 assists like he did against Utah or Portland? It's a good question. Marcus Smart, though, at 5 or more assists in 3 out of his last 5 games. It's a 60% hit rate. Let's go ahead, pull a projection for Marcus Smart here. My man, Arrington. Don't have anything for you on Marcus Smart at the moment. Let's refresh here. Maybe they've added something new here. So we go assists. We type in Smart. Nope. Nothing for you on Marcus Smart just yet. I will hit you back in Discord, though, and see if that looks like a good play, Arrington. Appreciate you leaving that one. The Beast, DW5 says, I can't get PrizePicks website to work on my computer. Anybody else got any thoughts as to why that is? I can only use it on my phone. Good question. Probably tried like some different browsers. I'm a former IT guy, so you could try maybe Google Chrome. You could try Firefox. You could try, it's not Internet Explorer anymore. What's it called now? Edge. Microsoft Edge is another one you could try. So maybe try some different browsers out. Maybe it's just a browser thing. Ronald Green's liking Kelly Oubre over on points. We talked about him. I think Kelly Oubre over on points looks like a solid move. Boston says, can we look at Middleton points and Drew Holiday assists? I think I already covered Drew Holiday's assists. Let's talk about Chris Middleton's points. We liked some Giannis possibly at 25.5 points, but you're liking his teammate there, Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton's at 17.5 against Miami. Has gone over 17.5 in 4 straight games and has done so pretty handedly here. 21, 22, 22, and 21 in his last 4 games. So he's been crushing 17.5 points in the month of December so far. Let's pull up a projection for you on Chris Middleton. So far, so good, though. I think the over on Chris Middleton looks like a decent look. 21 projected points against Miami tonight at 18.5 points out on your favorite sportsbook. They are betting the under, but that's okay because if he ends up with 18 points, that's more than 17.5, right? So we click the over on the 17.5. We just need 18 points. But yeah, 21 on Action Labs versus 17.5. I think we do a little entry with some Chris Middleton over on points. I think that's a decent look. SGA under 3-point makes from Pick'ems. Shout out to you, Pick'ems. Thanks for joining me on Patreon and being a part of the Discord community. Shout out to you. SGA under 3-point makes. You guys are liking some unders on SGA. He's at 2 3-point makes at the moment. On PrizePicks, in his last 5 games, he's gone for 2 or more in just 2 of those games. That's a 40% hit rate. Really has only covered this prop against Boston where he makes 3. So I would probably agree with you. Going under on SGA looks okay. Worst case, hopefully he lands on exactly 2 3-point makes and you end up in a tie or push situation and you don't lose the bet that way. Let's go ahead and get you a projection, though, on Gilgeous-Alexander, 2.3. They got him at 2.3 projected 3-point makes. He's at 1.5 3-point makes out on most of the sports books, minus 185. Huge over at 1.5. So I could see why PrizePicks has went ahead and bumped him up to 2. So Embiid over on fantasy points. Well, we talked about the matchup. Loving him against Charlotte tonight. We know what he just did against the Hornets in their last matchup. Absolutely wrecked them, right? He destroyed them. Went for 71.5 fantasy points against the Hornets in the last game. They just don't have anybody, a body that can stop Joel Embiid. So if he comes out and he's aggressive like we know he can be, he's got all the talent in the world. Hopefully he's got his foot on the gas and looks to repeat what he did to Charlotte in that last game, but drops 70 burger on this same Charlotte Hornets squad. So let's pull a projection up on Joel Embiid. He's at 49 fantasy points at the moment. On PrizePicks, I've got him projected for 53.7, nearly 54 fantasy points. And you can see that ceiling, 71.2. He's got 70-point upside against this Charlotte Hornets squad. So yeah, I think we take some shots on Joel Embiid over on fantasy points. So you're like an SGA over on fantasy points as well. He's at 37.5. He's doing a great job in his last 4 games covering this prop. 37.5. I can pull a projection up for you on him. 41.1. So again, another pretty beefy edge here. If you want to take the over, it looks like a good way to go on SGA versus Toronto. Kelly Oubre or maybe Miles over on points. Yeah, I'd probably have to lean on some Kelly Oubre. Red Sox is saying yes. NFL on Saturday makes perfect sense. Scratch that Curry weekend itch. Well, maybe I'll throw a poll up on YouTube and we'll take a vote. We'll say, if I get on Saturdays, would you rather see some NBA or would you rather see some NFL? And we'll do a little poll and kind of get the results. And then we'll kind of go from there. Zebo says, I'm going to take Franz Wagner's fantasy points. I can't blame you there, Zebo. He's been absolutely crushing. Manny, given the congrats. Yes, happy to be working with the Action Network. Should be some good content for you guys. More Prize Picks content featuring yours truly. I'm going to bring what I do here for you guys every day over to the Action Network world, and we'll hopefully make some more magic happen there. Appreciate all the love and the congrats that you guys are giving for that. Leroy says the 3 points for Kyle Kuzma. The 3 points for Kyle Kuzma. Where's Kuzma at today in terms of 3-point makes? I'm not seeing him up on the board. Oh, you're talking about earlier. Yeah. Might be. I got that straightened out. Thank you, Leroy. Garland fantasy points at 34 is very good according to Everyday Fantasy. So let's look at Darius Garland tonight. He's taken on the who do we say? Chicago Bulls. That's right. 34 fantasy points. Struggled in his last game, just across the board in terms of points, fantasy points, 3-point makes. Garland did not get it done, but I see some love for Garland this morning. And his last 5 games has only gone over 34 fantasy points in 2 out of 5. Let's pull a projection up for Darius Garland. Got him for 34.3. So slight over on Darius Garland at 34 fantasy points. Sabonis, over 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I like Sabo. He's at 42.5 fantasy points. You're liking the points, rebounds, and assists. For my Prize Picks people, we've got him projected at 47.7 fantasy points, putting him over 42.5 by like 5 fantasy points. He is questionable, though, so keep an eye on his injury status. But big guys against the New York Knicks has worked out more often than not. So Sabonis over fantasy points could be a good look. You're wanting to know about the points, rebounds, and assists. Let's take a look. Sabonis on the trade block, apparently 39.6 projected points, rebounds, and assists, putting him well over his line of 33.5 tonight. So MHP, yes. Smash the over. Van Vliet assists. Adam, I think we mentioned that one. That is going to be a good one. Fred Van Vliet under on assists. Al Horford over 6.5 boards. Maybe. His rebounds are definitely down lately. Al Horford going against the Clippers. 6.5 boards. Has covered this in, 3 out of 5. There was a point where this guy was at like 8.5, 9.5 rebounds. You guys remember that earlier in the season? His rebounds have kind of come down overall, though. But 6.5 seems doable. I don't mind it. I don't mind some Al Horford. 60% hit rate. Got him projected for 7.7 boards, close to 8 rebounds tonight. Minus 140 to go over 6.5 against the Clippers. So, yeah, he'll probably be matched up along with like Ivica Zubac and company. Maybe some Paul George. I don't know who Horford matches up with. But maybe it'll be Robert Williams and Zubac, locking horns. And then all the rebounds fall into Al Horford's lap. I like that. That's a good game script, right? Andy's saying Kyle Lowry under on rebounds. Bucks are too tall for him. What? Yeah, I mean, Kyle Lowry's not the tallest guy. You got a good point there. What's Kyle Lowry's rebound prop at today? 4.5 against Milwaukee. Played Milwaukee back on December 4th. Pulled in just 2 boards. So is this little guy going to find 5 rebounds tonight? He hasn't found 5 rebounds in 5 straight games. And I don't know that he does against Milwaukee tonight either. So I'm liking the under on some Kyle Lowry. I think we can get down with the get down on that one. He's at a minus 155 to go over 4.5 boards on DraftKings Sportsbook. Ooh, projected for 5.2 rebounds. Why is tonight going to be the night where Kyle Lowry pulls in 5 boards against Milwaukee? Why? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't love going over on him, that's for sure. If anything, I'm fading, but I think the over makes some sense. Alexander Romanenko. I love that name. You sound like an MMA fighter, man. Marcus Smart over 5 assists. Do we continue to ride the wave? We talked about that one a little bit ago. Maybe he ends up going back under. But at 5 assists, I think it's worth taking a shot over. You end up in a push or tie situation. Craig says, off rip, I'm really liking Beal and Beef Stew on a 2-pick power. You talking Beal's assists at 5.5 and Isaiah Stewart at 8.5 rebounds? Could make for an interesting 2-pick power. Kevin's liking some Brandon Ingram under assists. Be careful on that one because I know Ingram just dropped like a double-digit assist game. He's been pretty good at dropping dimes. He's at 4.5 today. Oh, shoot. Okay. So maybe that was just a little bit of an outlier against Dallas where he had that 12 assists. The other 4 games, he stayed under 4.5 assists. I was really liking his assist prop when it was down at like 3.5. Seems like the books have corrected that and adjusted, but I got him projected for 5.3 assists. So they like him to go over 4.5. So just be careful. He has 12 assists upside apparently. SGA fantasy points, we talked about that one. Al Horford rebounds, talked about that one. Van Vliet assists, we talked about that one. Jayshawn Tate or Christian Wood fantasy points over. I want to look at Jayshawn Tate's assist. I mentioned him earlier. I don't know if he's going to be up on the board today or not, but without Kevin Porter Jr., without Jalen Green, he's been getting it done. He's not up on the board. Shoot, I wish they would put him up on the board. If they do, though, I like some Jayshawn Tate. He's projected for 3.1, but I promise you that's probably a little too low. He's 4.5 assists. They are betting the under pretty heavy on Jayshawn Tate. What else are we talking about, guys? Sorry, trying to work my way through the rest of these messages here, through the rest of your chats. Drop a like for me if I'm helping you out with this player prop research. Yeah, definitely try a different web browser like Edge or Firefox Beast. Maybe that'll help you out. Jason Tatum points. Do we want to go back to Jason Tatum points? He balled out yesterday, kind of like I said he would against the Los Angeles Lakers. Hopefully some of you took Jason Tatum over on his points prop. Had another big game against King James and the Lakers. He's been on an absolute tear here in the last 4 games, going for 26 or more points in 4 straight games. It is a back-to-back. It is a back-to-back against a tough team, too, against the Clippers. But let me pull a projection up here for Mr. Tatum. 27.5, guys. They like him to go over 25.5 by 2 points. That's a pretty big difference when you're talking point props. So maybe you go back to Tatum. Just be careful, though. Could be a trap. He is on a back-to-back. Miles Turner 3-point makes at 1.5. Ooh, Miles Turner. Against the Knicks? Oh, he's so hit or miss. Look at this. 3-0. 3-3-0. Ugh. Don't know if I love that, man. Don't know if I love this guy on any type of 3-point makes. Let's pull him up, though. Turner got a 1.8. 1.8 projected 3-point makes according to our friends at Action Lab. So maybe you take a shot. I wouldn't go too crazy on that one. Marcus Morris. You guys are liking some Marcus Morris assists? Ooh, Marcus Morris. Has he made a debut on the live streams yet? Where's he at? 1.5 assists against Boston. Way down here at the bottom of the list. Okay. I can get on board with it. Averaging 3.2 assists per game in his last 5. Has gone over 1.5 in 80% of those last 5 games. Okay. Maybe you guys have uncovered a gem here. Marcus Morris, I got him projected for 1.4 assists, so it might be a nail biter. Might be a sweat according to the projections here against the Boston Celtics. But I could see why you're liking it, for sure. Norman Powell, 29.5 fantasy points. Let's run through that one real quick. Norman Powell, no CJ McCollum, no Damian Lillard. Might be getting some Anthony Simons back, though, for Portland tonight. But, yeah, Portland's pretty wiped out right now. It's going to be Dennis Smith Jr., Let's check in on him real quick. Not really loving that. Has gone over in just 1 out of his last 5 games. Norman Powell, 29.5, has gone over in 1 of his last 5 games. Man, these dudes are struggling. Norman Powell, though. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection on Powell real quick for you. 31.1. So, yeah, lean toward the over on Powell. Oh, any locks for Tatum? So far, his points are looking good. We've liked his rebounds in previous streams. Yesterday, his rebounds ended up hitting. Arrington's liking some assist on Chris Middleton at 4.5 assists. We liked Chris Middleton at 17.5 points, but you're liking some Chris Middleton dimes today, huh? I think this has been hitting pretty well if I remember right. Yeah, last 5 games, 80% hit rate when he does hit. 5 or more, 5, 9, 8. Some pretty good upside here in the assist department. He faced Miami on December 4th, just a few days ago. Had 9 assists against them in that game. So you could take some Chris Middleton over on assists at first glance here. Remember, this shouldn't be the end-all be-all of your research. This should just kind of spark some ideas and get you going. Definitely do a little further research. But yeah, 5.3 projected assists today. He's a betting favorite at minus 140 on BetMGM to go over 4.5 assists. I think you take a shot. Do we trust Jared Allen more on points or fantasy points? Ooh, good question. Jared Allen's points are up to, were they 16.5? He wasn't even up on PrizePicks earlier when I looked. Jared Allen, he is now up on PrizePicks at 16.5 against Chicago. I think he gets it done in both. There's a good chance he gets it done in both. This guy's had 25, 28-point upside. He's going to have a pretty good matchup against the Bulls. Nikola Vucevic, not a guy that we're really worried about, right? Not a top-tier defender by any means. Let's go ahead and take a look at Mr. Jared Allen for you because I think he's going to be a popular play. He's been hitting with pretty high hit rates. 16.4 projected points, putting him just slightly under 16.5. So very, very close on the points. PrizePicks has a strong number up at 16.5. Let's look at the fantasy points. He's at 39. I think I already pulled his fantasy points up once, but I forgot. 38. So, man, these numbers are tough on Jared Allen today. Might be a fade. I don't know if I see enough of an edge on Jared Allen here. What else are we talking about? Kong says he just joined the Patreon. Shout out to Kong for joining the Patreon. Appreciate you. Glad to have you aboard. Hopefully tonight we continue our success that we had last night. We went 5-1 on the picks that I wrote up and posted for you Patreon members out there. Yes, Andy, good point. Smash Joel Embiid's free throws when they drop. I don't mind that whatsoever. Wes says, make sure that your location is turned on for PrizePicks. Tatum points. Yes, Andreas, we talked about some Tatum points. He's like projected for 2 points over where he's at on PrizePicks right now. The Beast says, Firefox worked for him. I'll have to do some research and see why Google Chrome won't work. Well, good. I'm glad that Firefox ended up working out for you. Look at that. Them IT skills still paying off today, baby. Todd says, thanks, CJ. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, Todd. Brian is liking Nikola Jokic on assists. Yes, that's been a prop that has been hitting with a very high hit rate, very high success rate. Jokic has gone for like 7 or more assists in a lot of his games recently. Dropped 15 against the Bulls, 15 dimes against the Chicago Bulls. Seems like he takes his foot off of the gas against Nikola Vucevic. If you go back and look at those two guys head to head, there's a lot of games where Jokic has not covered his points prop against Vucevic. And I know Vucevic isn't a strong defender. I almost think that Jokic is like, man, I'm like intimidated by this guy, or he's my friend. Like he loses the killer instinct to score or something. Doesn't want to embarrass the guy, so he drops 15 assists on him instead. But yeah, Nikola Jokic on his assist prop at 7. I think that it has been a very good way to go lately on him. Let's go ahead and pull up his assist. He's projected for 8 assists, so they like him to go over. Even though people are betting the under at minus 150 at 7.5 assists, you can slap the over on Nikola Jokic and feel okay. You know, he had a bit of a slump game, and in terms of slump breakers, you know, I like going back to some Jokic on points. He had 17. Look what happens here. So he had 18 against Orlando, bounces back against New York with 32. Is he going to bounce back again tonight? 17 against Chicago. Does he come out and just look to destroy Jonas Valanciunas? Maybe. Maybe he does. His points projection is 28.6, 3.1 points higher than where he's at on PrizePicks. I'm just putting it out there. You're also getting a 1-point value. He's at 26.5 points on your favorite sports book. 26.5 points, people are taking the over at minus 115, minus 116. Jokic, very often, or it's not very often that he has 2 games in a row where he's like way below his averages. So expect him to bounce back tonight. I'm predicting that he's going to come back strong. Christian Wood Fantasy, Matthew Farb. I like the Duke. logo there, Duke jersey in your thing. Matthew Farb, you want to talk about Wood? Christian Wood? Pause, first of all. You want to talk about Wood, though? All right, we could talk about Christian Wood. Christian Wood, he's at 37.5 fantasy points today against the Brooklyn Nets. He's gone over this in 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5, 80% hit rate on Christian Wood. This man said he wanted to talk about Wood, so I kind of had to pause for a second, and then I realized he meant Christian Wood, the Houston Rockets big man, of course. What did I think he was talking about? Something perverted? Come on, boy. 39.5 fantasy points, though, my friend. So they like him to go over by about 2 fantasy points. Speaking of Wood, we got all these porn bots in here. You guys report these freaks. What the hell are they posting in our live chat? Get up out of here with that mess. What else are we talking about here? Why won't PrizePicks work in VA? I don't know. I think it's legal in Virginia, though. Not sure. Captain Shango, yeah, we talked about Joker, rebounds, points, assists. I believe we like some Joker rebounds. He's just been one of the best rebounders. Where they got him at 11 boards today, I think. I think we talked about his rebounds, didn't we? Yeah, 11 rebounds versus New Orleans. I don't mind you taking the over there on some Nikola Jokic. Let's go ahead and take a look at his boards. He's projected for 12.6. So, yeah, he's looking like he's setting up for overs on everything. Points, rebounds, assists. I think his fantasy points are also in play since all those other things are in play. Fournier over 11.5. Man, after seeing his minutes last night and the rotations that Tom Thibodeau is doing, I don't know if I like that so much. Yeah, somebody spamming my comments. That's for sure. I don't know what's up with all this porn. Middleton assists. We talked about that. Jeremy Grant fantasy points pick'ems. Jeremy Grant fantasy points. Let's pull him up here. Where's he at? Jeremy Grant's been balling though, if memory serves me correct. Yeah, 35 or more fantasy points in 4 out of his last 5 games. 80% hit rate. I could pull some Jeremy Grant up for you real quick. Let's try to buzz through a few more of these. 36.6 is his projected fantasy points. Sadiq Bey under points, dope boy world. Sadiq Bey under points. I have not clicked any Sadiq Bey props. I'm curious to like what leads you to some of these. Do you guys just go through like the PrizePicks board and you like open up all the windows and all these and just look for like the last 5 games, low hit rate, high hit rate stuff? Like I wonder how you end up on some of these props sometimes. But Sadiq Bey, 13.5 points. He's only covered in 1 out of his last 5 games. So yeah, you could go Sadiq Bey if you must. If you feel led or compelled, you could definitely take Sadiq Bey under points. Let's get a projection for you. 15.2. They like him to go over. Despite FanDuel Sportsbook, he is a -118 under. Just not a guy that I want to click his name on. I mean, I don't know. Sadiq Bey is not the first person that comes to mind, dope boy. Be careful with that one. Logan with the Ayo. Yeah, when you're talking about Wood, you got to say Ayo on that one. Craig says, I like Precious Achiuwa as a straight up plus matchup on 8.5 boards versus OKC. Yeah, same principle applies as the other night when we wanted to go over on Isaiah Stewart at 9.5 boards. I think you just have to click the over potentially in a great matchup for Precious against the Oklahoma City Thunder at 8.5 boards. Lonzo Fantasy. Lonzo Ball. Yeah, I think he was one of the favorites to go over on fantasy points. He's at 36 fantasy points, has covered this in his last 2 games. Obviously no DeMar DeRozan tonight, so I think we could go back to Lonzo Ball. What do you guys think? 38.9. They like him to go over by about 3 fantasy points. Logan says he swiped that Drew Holiday 15.5 boards. Where do you join the Patreon? Down in the link in the description of this video is a Patreon link for you to join if you would like to do so. Stefano. Harden over or under on the assist? I think Harden's been taking on more of a pass first role for the Brooklyn Nets, right? It's been KD scoring more, Harden doing more of the assisting. He's not up on the board at the moment, but I don't have a line for him or anything like that. I'll pull up a projection for you on James Harden. Not sure where he's going to be at, though. 10.5 out on your favorite sportsbook, but they have him projected for 10.4 assists, so that one's going to be close. Yes, Hayden, I will be drawing those Patreon winners today. Thanks for asking. Appreciate that. Tobias Harris rebounds, Lonzo Ball rebounds. Man, you guys are just coming at me with these props today. Lonzo Ball rebounds. I think we liked Lonzo Ball's fantasy points. I think some of those fantasy points will be because he has a good rebounding game. He pulled in 9 and 10 in his last 2 games. Overall, 5 or more in 80% of his last 5 games. Let's get a projection for you using Action Labs. 6.2. I think you can take the over on his rebounds and feel okay. I think you can take the over there. Tobias Harris, affordable luxury records liking some Tobias Harris rebounds. Against this Charlotte Hornets squad, man, 8 just sounds high, but let's look at the numbers here. He's gone over 8 in 4 out of his last 5, 80% hit rate. Okay. So I can understand why you would want to go over. He had 11 boards versus Charlotte when they last met, which was 1 game ago. So Tobias Harris projected for 7.5 boards today. He's a betting favorite at -140 on some sites to go under 8.5. So just be careful. Public's taking the under, but you might end up in a push or a tie situation. You guys are liking the new PrizePicks update. Definitely going to have to update my mobile app for sure. Steven Adams over 7.5 points. I call him Smash Adams because back in the day, this dude used to smash his fantasy points for me on some of those salary cap based DFS sites like FanDuel and DraftKings. But Steven Adams scoring the ball a little bit better here in the last 3 games, 9, 11, and 17. Actually did not expect that. Adams playing pretty good basketball though. Never one to take the over on some Steven Adams scoring. I'm much more of a fan of his rebounds, but Adams projected for 8.4 points. So they like the over on Steven Adams points. Zebo said, I said the same thing about Jokic, taking it easy. Taking it easy. I'm not taking it easy with him? What do you mean there? Not sure what you mean, Zebo. Hey, good to be back, Sethi. Good to see you back. Debnesh wants to know, is there any way to pay with crypto so you can join Patreon? Maybe, Debnesh. We'll have to explore that. I will DM you in Discord. Hey, Logan says he just joined Patreon. Has to support his favorite PrizePicks enthusiasts. Well, you just entered in a very good community of PrizePicks players. Chill Robots. Late to the party. Cheers, mate. Love the videos. I love you, Chill Robots, for loving these videos. Oh, they bumped up Lonzo's fantasy points. They're onto him now. Yeah, they might be after watching this live stream. Craig says Drew Holiday was at 15.5 boards. He was, Craig, but they DNP'd him. So anybody who took Drew Holiday at 15.5 boards this morning, it has been refunded. That will not hold up. Siakam assists. Pascal Siakam assists. Let's take a look at Pascal Siakam. 3.5 dimes. At 3.5 dimes, covered in 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the last 5. 80% hit rate. Falls short against Washington. So maybe we go back to Pascal Siakam in a little bit of a bounce back spot. 4.3 projected assists tonight. He's also a betting favorite at -130, -135. -130, -135 to go over versus OKC tonight. Don't mind it, CM Morris. Don't mind it at all. No PrizePicks prop for Steph Curry yet at 5.5 3-pointers. They're playing keep away. They know what they're doing over there. They don't want to give us them juicy props. All right. Last one I'm going to do here. Jalen Brunson fantasy. And then I'm going to send you guys on your way. You could go lock in some entries over on PrizePicks. 100% instant deposit match if you use promo code Curry on your first deposit on PrizePicks. Jalen Brunson at a very friendly 22 fantasy points. Coming off of a bit of a slump game against the Brooklyn Nets. Maybe we go back to Mr. Brunson here. I will go ahead and pull up a projection. While I do that, we look at his hit rate. 60% hit rate, right? Projected for 23.3 fantasy points, putting him over this 22 number. So yeah, you could lean toward the over on Jalen Brunson. But I appreciate all of you for joining me this morning. Hopefully this hour in 49. Oh my God, we're almost on here for 2 hours. You know, I said jokingly at the beginning, maybe today's stream will be for 2 hours with a 13 game NBA slate. Never did I think that we would go almost 2 hours though. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here, guys. Hopefully this stream helps you out. Definitely shout out to the hashtag replay gang. Those of you who are catching the replay, shout out to you. And leave a like on your way out. I'll go ahead and play the outro music. You guys can continue talking in chat. And for those of you who have joined Patreon, I'll catch you in Discord later on tonight. Peace out.